Hello and welcome to this third session of my 5 session program here or series for this week. Just about different topics, but mostly we started with the difference between the starch solution and the maximum weight loss. We also talked a little bit about the healthiest diet on the planet. All of these by Dr. McDougall. And yesterday we spent a good amount of time talking about sodium, but other things. And today about inflammation and a couple of other things. And then tomorrow I'm going to talk about how to stay motivated and compliant, how to relax a little and have fun and enjoy this journey. And because nobody wants to do anything really if it's not enjoyable and it's not fun. And so I'll talk about that. I'll talk about how to learn from successes and mistakes, and I'll just give you some ideas. I will talk about what I do myself to stay motivated. I have stayed with a few ups and downs because I am not perfect, and but for 10 years, and I'm going to stay. I'm not going anywhere. So we'll just talk about that. Do you live by an airport? Why? Are you coming to visit me? Okay. Let's get started. So one thing I wanted to mention is, why is salt and sugar, processed actual salt, powder, salt and powder, and sugar crystals, allowed in the starch solution? And like I said at the beginning, the first day, the starch solution, I think, is mostly for beginners, people that have never been whole food plant-based, and they want to get started in this journey. And so Dr. McDougall wants them to eat the food. He knows that if these people don't eat the food, he doesn't have a chance to save, to help them. So if that means getting rid of all of the meat and all of the dairy and all of the oils, if it means that they're going to sprinkle very little, very lightly, some salt and sugar on the things that they're going to eat, which are not going to have any salt in it because we don't cook with it, then he says, so be it, because I want them to eat it. Eventually, the taste buds will start to change, and in most cases, everybody starts to minimize the use of those two things. So that's why I believe it's there, and I think that is the reason why a lot of people stay with the program, because at the beginning they were not everything that they like and love was taken out. So, but with that in mind, I just want to show you an example here of some things. For example, here is chipotle chili powder, okay? And when I read the label, I have to take my glasses off to read, and it just, let's see here, it says see. It just says chili. Okay, so there's nothing else. And it says all natural, salt-free, gluten-free, non-GMO, preservative-free, no MSG, non-irradiated. When I look at onion granules, it says onion under ingredient. I don't know, it's too small to read it, I guess. But it just says onion. That's what you want. But one day I found this. Okay, let me let these people in. One day I was shopping somewhere and I always read the label, but this got me because it has big letters there that says salt-free. Okay. And I picked it up and bought it. I don't know, maybe I was distracted, maybe I was with somebody else talking. I don't know what happened, but I bought it. Then when I look at ingredients, everything looks great. Onion, garlic powder, thyme, basil, red bell pepper, etc., etc. And almost at the very end, it says sunflower oil. You know, I know it might be minuscule amount, but I really don't want to use oil. It does say total fat 0 grams, but that is just one of those tricks that the industry has. Whenever you go under a certain amount of fat, they can declare that it is 0, even if it's not. Table Tasty is actually very compliant. It has non-fortified nutritional yeast extract, carrot, red bell pepper, onion, arrowroot, lemon, citric acid, celery, dill weed, parsley, basil, allspice, paprika, Rica hulls, okay, added to help prevent caking. So just be careful. One more time, I want to be careful. I want you to be careful when you're buying stuff so you can read it. So another question, because Dr. McDougall mentions it here, and I believe last Sunday in his webinars that he does, in his webinars that he does on Sundays, he mentioned, I think last Sunday, to limit the amount of legumes and beans. And I think that's very interesting because as I recall my weight loss process, it was during those weeks when I ate mostly potatoes and sweet potatoes that I lost more weight. I didn't have a clue at that time why that happened. I always tried and continue to try to have a very varied diet where I include rice and beans and potatoes and sweet potatoes and greens and all the different colors of the vegetables. But I did notice that the weeks, if there was a week when I focused more on beans and rice and as the starch, that I would lose, but it wouldn't be as much as when I ate mostly potatoes and sweet potatoes with, of course, with all the other non-starchy vegetables as well. And so this may shock you, but let me slowly, so that if you want to write this down, you can make a note. 1 pound of boiled potatoes is 350 calories. 1 pound. 1 pound is a good amount, considering that research shows that most human beings eat between 3 and 4 pounds of food per day. So 1 pound of boiled potatoes is 350 calories. It's quite low, okay? Now, let's take another starch. 1 pound of cooked chickpeas, which I love. I really enjoy eating chickpeas. How much is 1 pound of cooked chickpeas? Well, it's not 350 calories. It's 743 calories. Let's just round it 750 or 740. So double. Well, it's a starch. It's a whole food. It has water and fiber, but not as much water as a potato has. So does that mean that I'm not going to eat chickpeas? No, it doesn't mean that. But let me keep going. 1 pound of steamed sweet potatoes, okay? It's 390 calories. So just a little more than potatoes. Potatoes is 350, sweet potatoes is 390. 1 pound of cooked pinto beans, another type of beans that I like, is 650 calories. A pound of cooked black beans is 600 calories per pound. So it's quite a big difference. Okay. Not to mention that beans have quite a high amount of protein. Yes, it's plant protein, but for some people who may need to restrict protein for kidneys function or for other medical reasons, Dr. McDougall does limit the amount of beans that a person eats per week. So lentils. I love lentils also. 1 pound of cooked lentils, boiled lentils, is 526 calories. So we have this chart here with calorie density, okay? I don't know if Chef AJ is here. She had signed up for the webinar, but she gave me this. This is a magnet to put on the refrigerator, and that's where I have it. And here we have 400 to 600 average. I don't know if you can see that. And it says, this is an average. It says complex carbohydrates, potatoes, whole grains, legumes. This chart doesn't show you really which is which. And, I'm not so uptight about all of this. I say, relax, enjoy a little, okay? But, so, do I cross the line? I do, okay? Why am I going to lie to you? I do cross it. Sometimes I eat and half. I never eat an avocado. Sometimes I eat half or a fourth of an avocado on a salad. Sometimes, the higher caloric dense foods like 1,200 to 1,800 a pound, calories per pound, like I don't eat ice cream or cheese or just sugar. Yeah, bread, yes, sometimes. And if I eat bread, I pile up in one little piece of bread, I pile up a ton of vegetables so that I am balancing there. So take this as a guide, but don't get stressed out, so too much with this. So 1 pound, okay, this is a little bit shocking, but of course, many of us um, eat oats in the morning, and many of us have switched to eating mostly vegetables in the morning. But 1 pound, of course, nobody that I know eats 1 pound of cooked oatmeal for breakfast. Okay, so, but we are talking about pounds here because it's the only way that we can compare things. Okay, so that is why we're talking about pounds. But 1 pound of cooked oatmeal is 1,765 calories. When you compare that with 1 pound of cooked veggies in the morning, well, even if they're roasted, you're talking about 10 times more than 15 times less calories, 100, 150 calories per pound. 1 pound of cooked brown rice is 500 calories. So, there's a difference between 350 of potatoes and 500 of brown rice. If it's white rice, it's almost 600 calories per pound. And this is not to say that we need to start counting calories or measuring things or weighing things. This is just a guide, mostly for those of you who have refined the diet to the point where you have lost a lot of weight, like I have, or maybe you haven't lost a lot of weight, but you are struggling with losing weight, or you're losing very slowly. Well, it's time to look at what you're eating. That's why in my 7-day program, one of the other things we do is I encourage people to keep a food diary. Sometimes we are surprised when we go back and read what we ate throughout the day and the week, because we conveniently forget sometimes what we eat. So maybe it's time, and this is the process that I talk about that can be enjoyable. It doesn't have to be painful. This is a learning progress, a learning process. Learning can be enjoyable. Sometimes it's a little painful because you have to stop doing some things that you do, but it may be time for you to reconsider what you're eating. If you're having too many processed foods, even if they're whole food plant-based, it's time to reconsider. Okay. So using these spices that I showed you and others, and using these wonderful balsamic vinegars can add a lot of taste to our food. All right. One of you says, Gustavo, you aren't trying to lose any more weight, are you? Yes, I am. Okay. I want to lose more weight, and it's not much, but I would like to lose more. And I am happy right now with the weight that I'm going. It's a slower weight loss, but I am enjoying the food that I'm eating. I could totally cut out on some of these things, like from time to time when I have a whole wheat bread that doesn't have salt and doesn't have any fat in it, and I could cut that out. I could cut from time to time having whole wheat pasta that is, I serve it mostly with vegetables, or an avocado here and there. But at this point, I am happy. I have to enjoy the food. I don't want to feel deprived. So, but I do change. And so I am aware that at some point I may decide that, okay, it's time to cut out this or that. Okay, let's talk about inflammation, which to me is, one of the scariest words. There is a way to measure the inflammation level that you have in your body. We'll talk about that. One of you says, "Hi, Gustavo, do you typically eat more than one starch at a meal, or do you try to limit your starches to one only?" I don't try to do any of that, okay, because I don't want to get into, okay, I'm eating this and that, so I'm not going to combine this with that. I mean, there are some things that I'm not going to do, like I'm not going to put half of an avocado on a potato, okay, or guacamole with white rice or something. I mean, there are some things that I'm not going to do, but sometimes I do have more than one starch in a meal, because sometimes I make a stew that has some beans in it, but there's also some potatoes in it. So I guess now that I think, usually it is once, not usually, it's often, I guess, it's one starch, but not because I'm trying, it's just the way it comes out. Let me show you today, now that you asked that question, okay, let me show you. I took a few pictures of my lunch today, and so this today for lunch was a leftover day. These are things that I had in the refrigerator, and I had a very busy day and I didn't want to cook. I couldn't really. So, and this is why it's important, everybody. Remember, every time you cook, make sure you cook more than what you will eat for that meal. At least double it, if not more, because you want to put it either in the refrigerator or in the freezer, okay? So I had two beets that were cooked. I had one sweet potato that was partly steamed and partly baked. I had purple cabbage that I steamed. I had zucchini. That is a different type of zucchini that I get here that is also steamed. I had my chickpea stew that I made yesterday with the tomato sauce and some greens and other things. I had an arugula salad that has also some beets and, gosh, I don't remember. I think it had some cucumbers. And then I had cucumbers. So I made this wonderful plate. Here's another picture. So I had a little bit of everything, and that was lunch. It was simple, but it was very good. I did use some of these spices. I have like the Mrs. Dash spices, that is a combination of spices. And yeah, that was it. Okay, so that's that. So I didn't have all of that, okay? I had leftovers, and I don't live alone, so there are two of us. So, but even then, there was a little bit of, no, I think we ate it all, but between two people. So I show you that. I put it out like that on the counters because I knew I wanted to show you that, but not because I ate everything there. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about inflammation. There are two types of inflammation. There's acute inflammation and there's chronic inflammation. Let's talk about, these are notes, okay? I'm just gonna tell you, these are notes that I have taken. I lost count, I don't know. I have attended hundreds of lectures and conferences and things like that, and then of course I've done all these webinars, etc. So I've compiled things throughout the 10 years, and I've taken notes, and so I'm just going to share some of these notes that I took when I heard doctors and nutritionists talk about this. So when you leave chronic inflammation unaddressed, when you don't care and you let it continue, Chronic means that it's constant. Okay, chronic inflammation can damage healthy cells. It will also damage tissues. It can damage organs, and may even cause internal scarring, tissue death, and damage to the DNA even. Chronic inflammation is very damaging to our cells. Ultimately, if this continues, this can lead to the development of potentially disabling or even life-threatening illnesses, such as cancer or type 2 diabetes. Yes, chronic inflammation can eventually end up in those terrible illnesses. Unlike acute inflammation benefits health by promoting healing and recovery. Like when you fall and there's a cut here, and so all the cells go there, and there is acute inflammation because it has to scar, it has to heal. So that acute inflammation is okay because it's acute, it's not chronic. Chronic inflammation is characterized by persistent increases in inflammatory proteins all throughout the body and can damage health and promote several major diseases. So our immune system views plaque buildup in the arteries as foreign invader. Okay, so there's plaque buildup, and the immune system sees that buildup in the arteries as a foreign invader. And what happens? It sends immune cells and other molecules to the scene of the crime. And instead of healing, the cells become trapped inside the plaques. It's like that chronic inflammation can make these plaques more vulnerable so that they will rupture. So when is chronic inflammation good? When it's good, it fights off foreign invaders, it heals injuries and mops up debris in the body. But when it's bad, inflammation ignites a long list of disorders. It could be arthritis, it could be asthma, blindness, cancer, diabetes, and even, according to what I've read and heard, even things like autism and mental illness. So how do you know if you have chronic inflammation? Well, there is a blood test that measures a protein produced by the liver, and it's called C-reactive protein. And so you can ask for a CRP test, which is extremely inexpensive. It's very affordable. And so the C-reactive protein, which rises in response to inflammation. So if your CRP is high, it means that you have high levels of inflammation. So a CRP level between 1 and 3 milligrams per liter of blood often signals a low but chronic level of inflammation. The last time I did mine, it probably was 3 years ago, it showed like 0.3. Okay, it was nothing. So it made me very happy. I should do it again. I'm always scared to do it because I don't want it to be more than 3. So what are the little choices that will protect you from chronic inflammation? Well, we We know because there is medical and scientific research done. Um, Unfortunately, this research is not spread the way it should be spread. But to fight inflammation, we know that we have to go for whole, WHOLE, whole food, unprocessed foods with no added sugar. Fruits are okay. All types of vegetables, non-starchy and starchy, whole grains, legumes. You can add herbs and spices like cinnamon, ginger, and of course turmeric, a powerful anti-inflammatory. One thing that you may not know is that it seems that sleep deprivation is associated with markers of inflammation, such as an increase in inflammatory molecules. And so it is important that we do take it seriously, that we need sleep. 7 to 8 hours is good. When I go to True North and I stay there, that is one of the questions that you get every morning when the doctor comes to see you. How many hours of sleep did you have? So just in case that you don't know, it is a good review. What foods cause inflammation? Well, red meat, processed meats, including bacon, hot dogs, lunch meats, and cold cuts, cured meats, refined grains, including white bread, white pasta, and breakfast dry cereals. Mostly snack foods, including chips, cookies, crackers, pastries, sodas and other sweetened drinks, fried foods. So this is very, we have the answer, okay? We have the answer for fighting inflammation. The question is whether we're going to do this, okay? Let's see here. Do you remember the name of the blood test that measure? Yeah, it's called, yeah, you can ask for the CRP test, what did I call it? The C protein. Let me see here. I don't want to say it wrong. Yeah, C-reactive protein. My physician won't give me that test because she does the A1C and says the C-reactive test won't show anything. Okay, well, I can't argue with your physician. The A1C, I believe, is perfectly acceptable, and so I can't argue with that. So maybe you might want to do a little research and see if both are good or if one is better than the other, or maybe what I always do is I do both or three. I mean, I like to know as much as possible. I'm hoping this starch lifestyle will help me lower my inflammation. I'm at 13 this month, up from 10 3 months ago and 8 6 months ago. I've been following the maximum weight loss for the past 2.5 weeks. I want to learn as much as I can about the starch solution so I can reverse these numbers. I believe you can reverse these numbers. You will need to focus on the whole part of the phrase, the whole food and the plant-based. Focus on eating your several servings of greens a day. And this is one thing that sometimes scares people away, because if I say, like Dr. Esselstyn says, eat 5 servings of greens a day, you think that you have to have like this, you know, 5 pounds of lettuce and, you know, and kale. And it's not that way. A serving, if you take your own fist, a serving is half of your fist. So it's a very small amount. And for the greens, it really is good to lightly steam them and to anoint them, like Dr. Esselstyn says, with some balsamic vinegar, because the balsamic vinegar and the steamed greens really make the greens more powerful. So I highly recommend that. Okay, so thank you, George. A1C is for blood sugars. CRP is for inflammation. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Well, any questions? Any questions? Any comments? If you want to unmute or type here, we are open for anything that you want to share, or any maybe success stories or a challenge, anything. What are the best anti-inflammatory foods? Oh, I mean, really anything. I have not done a research of a specific food that is anti-inflammatory. I know that when we combine, when we have a really good balanced way of eating, and you have different types of greens and different types of red, yellow, orange vegetables, and you combine them with your starch, and it's anti-inflammatory. But you know what? I will look and see at that. That's a really good question, and I will talk about that tomorrow. If there are, the only thing that I try to include or add to almost everything that I make is a little bit of turmeric. You know, it could be an eighth of a teaspoon, a fourth of a teaspoon, because it's such a powerful anti-inflammatory. And it seems, according to some research, that when you add a little bit of black pepper, that makes it more potent. But I will look and see if there's any specific food that is anti-inflammatory. I believe that the diet that we are promoting here in Whole Food Plant-Based, with Dr. McDougall, with my 7-day program, with Chef AJ's program, it's all anti-inflammatory. Okay,
So,
Lorraine?
yeah, so Gustavo, I think I discovered why I'm maintaining my weight loss. I'm eating a lot of beans, and maybe I have to switch that. What you said is making me look back, and I'm thinking, gee, in the last weeks since we finished the detox, the majority of my diet has been beans. So maybe I really have to, like, in order to start the weight loss again, you know. I was looking at Mary McDougall's mini diet, and what she says on there is to choose one starch just for a few days, just one starch, like a sweet potatoes or white potatoes or rice or whatever you're going to choose the one, and split your plate in half and have half of it starch and half of it cruciferous vegetables, and just eat that for I think it's, she says her mini diet is 10 days, and that will kind of switch on the weight loss again. So do you, like, have you done that?
I have not done the Mary's Mini, okay? I'm afraid that I'm going to get bored. But I have considered it. I know a lot of people have very good results. So I think that would be good. You basically, what you choose is, like you said, and of course, when you go to Dr. McDougall's website, drmcdougall.com, you can type Mary's Mini and it will show you, because just recently, Mary typed a very specific program because everybody was asking about this. This is something that she created a long, long time ago. But so there is something new there that you can read, and it is choosing one starch. Yeah, and I don't remember if it's for 7 days or 10 days, but it's just, again, it's a type of cleanse and a way for you to tell how your body responds. If you start to lose weight, then that tells you something. Okay, so I think that it's good. Yeah, I think that's great. I need to go back. I need to go back for some reason in the last 2 months or so. For some reason unknown to me, I don't know, I have not been eating as many potatoes and sweet potatoes. And so I have seen, I'm kind of plateau, or I lose a little bit, and then the next day I'm back to the previous weight. So I'm going to go back to do that. And I am in my next 7-day program, I'm going to focus a little more on the potato and sweet potato for those of you who want to accelerate your weight loss. Anything else? Anyone? Okay, let's see if I missed any comments. Okay. Someone was saying, what kind of herbs can I use? Dried oregano, thyme, rosemary? Oh yeah, oh sure. I mean, I use that daily, pretty much. That's similar to what Gustavo does in his 7-day, because at the end, yeah. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about what I do personally once a month to continue to reset and detox, and so you might find that interesting. By the way, if you hear noise, no, I live very far from an airport, very far. It's just that this week there are a lot of events going on in this village, and I live by an avenue, and so you hear a lot of traffic. I'm sorry about that. Tomorrow I'm going to try to go to a room that is more in the back, so that that noise is diminished. Okay, well, thank you for attending. I really enjoy getting together with you. Tomorrow is going to be our 4th day, and so we're almost done with this week. It's going fast, going very fast. All right.
Thank you so much, Gustavo.
Have a
Beautiful.
very good
Thank you.
rest of the day.
Thank you.
Bye.